Today we are going to discuss transforming perfect square trinomials to square of binomial and vice versa. Okay, a perfect square trinomial is an expression obtained from the square of binomial. But what is the square of binomial? It is the sum of the square of the first terms twice the product of the two terms and the square of the last term. So say for example, the equation square of x plus 3, the expression square of x plus 3 is equal to x squared plus twice the product of 3 and x, 3 times x, plus the square of the last term, and that would be x squared plus 6x plus 9. So x squared plus 6x plus 9 is actually a perfect square trinomial. An expression is said to be a perfect square trinomial if it takes the form ax squared plus bx plus c and satisfies the condition b squared is equal to 4ac. So say for example, x squared plus 6x plus 9, your a is 1, your b is 6, and your c is 9. So substituting them to the formula b squared is equal to 4ac, it becomes 6 squared is equal to 4 times 1 times 9. 6 squared is 36, 4 times 1 times 9 is also 36. Therefore, the equation x squared plus 6x plus 9 satisfies the condition b squared is equal to 4ac. It means that x squared plus 6x plus 9 is a perfect square trinomial. So let's say, for example, the square of the quantity 2x plus 2. So we have the square of the first term. So you have 4x squared plus 2 times the product of the first and the second term. So 2x times 2 is 4x. And then plus the square of the second term. 2 squared is 4. So therefore, we have 4x squared plus 8x plus 4. This is now a perfect square trinomial equivalent to the square of binomial 2x plus 2. So we have the square of x minus 3. So we have the square of the first term, you say x squared, plus twice the product of the first and the second, that is negative 3x. X times negative 3. Then plus the square of negative 3. Negative 3 square is 9. So we have x squared minus 6x plus 9. So this is now the perfect square trinomial equivalent to the square of x minus 3. So take note that if this one uses minus, the linear term will also be minus. Just take note of that. The square of the quantity 2x minus 3. So the square of the first term, that is 4x squared, then plus twice the product of the first and the second. The first term is 2x times negative 3 is negative 6x. And then the square of the second term, negative 3 squared is positive 9, so plus 9. So we have 4x squared, not plus, but instead it's minus 6x plus 9. We have the square of the quantity 3x minus 5. The square of the first term is 9x squared plus twice the product of the first and the second, that is negative 15x. That is 3x times negative 5, that's negative 15x. Then negative the square of the second term. Negative 5 squared is positive 25. Therefore, we have 9x squared minus 30x plus 25. So you have to take note of this, just to double check. Next, we have the square of the quantity x minus 1/2. First, the square of the first term, x squared, plus twice the product of the first and the second. So x times negative 1/2 is negative 1/2 x. And then plus the square of the second term. The square of negative 1/2 is 1 over 4. So plus 1/4. So therefore, we have x squared minus x. 2 times negative 1 is 2. divided by 2 is 1. So you have 1x or x. So minus x plus 1/4. So also take note for just to double check if your signs are correct. Now, 9x squared minus 30x plus 25. First question, is this a perfect square trinomial? So how are we going to determine if the quadratic expression is a perfect square trinomial? Okay, just follow the steps. It has to satisfy the equation b squared is equal to 4ac. Okay, let's say for example, this is our A, this is our B, and this is our C. So you now have negative 30 square is equal to 4 times 9 times 25. So this is 900. Am I correct? 30 times 30, 900 is equal to, what is 4 times 9? 36 times 25. So you have 900. So what is 36 times 25? That is also 900. So meaning to say, this is a perfect square trinomial. Square minus 16x plus 64. So let us identify if this is a perfect square trinomial. So let us just follow b square is equal to 4ac. So b is negative 16 square is equal to 4 times 1 times 64. So this is negative 16 square. Negative 16 square is 256. 4 times 64 is 256. So therefore, x squared minus 16x plus 64 is a perfect square trinomial. How about using your b over 2 raised to the second power? You have negative 16 divided by 2 raised to the second power. This is now negative 8 square is equal to 64. So it means to say that the x squared minus 16x plus 64 is a perfect square trinomial. We can use this one if the value of a is 1. Okay. Let us first identify if the given expression, quadratic expression, is a perfect square trinomial. How do we know that? Okay, we have to check the constant term. Now, the constant term should be b over 2 raised to the second power. If it's not b over 2 raised to the second power, then the quadratic expression is not a perfect square trinomial. So in this case, b is actually 4. So we have 4 divided by 2 raised to the second power. 4 divided by 2 is 2 square. You have 4. So it means to say that the perfect square, that x squared plus 4x plus 4 is a perfect square trinomial. That is if your value of a is 1. Identify if this is a perfect square trinomial. So since a is 1, so we can simply use b over 2 raised to the second power. This is now b is 2 over 3 divided by 2 raised to the second power. So it means 2 over 3 times 1/2 raised to the second power. So we now have 2 times 1, 2 over 6 raised to the second power. This is 4 over 36, which is also equivalent to 1 over 9. So this means that t squared plus 2 over 3t plus 1 over 9 is a perfect square trinomial. 7r plus 49 over 4. Let us first determine if the given equation is a perfect square trinomial. So since a is 1, you may just follow b over 2 raised to the second power. So b is negative 7 divided by 2 raised to the second power. That means 49 over 4. So since the c is 49 over 4, it means to say that r squared minus 7r plus 49 over 4 is a perfect square trinomial. Let us find the equivalent square of binomial in this perfect square trinomial, 9x squared minus 30x plus 25. So first is to write the square root of the first term. So the square root of the first term, or the square root of the quadratic term, is 3x because 3x squared is 9x. 3x raised to the second power is 9x squared. Next is to get the the square root of the constant. The square root of the constant is 5. Then since it is negative, since the linear term is negative, then we use the minus sign here. We have 3x squared, negative 5 times 3x, negative 15 times 2, negative 30x. Then negative 5 squared is positive 25, meaning this is correct. Okay, let us now transform this perfect square trinomial to its square of binomial. First is the square root of the quadratic term. So you have x. That's the square root of the quadratic term. Second is the square root of the constant. Square root of 64 is 8. Then use the minus sign. Okay, let us check. X squared, negative 8x times 2, negative 16x. And then negative 8 squared is positive 64. So our square of binomial is the square of x minus 8. The equivalent of x squared minus 16x plus 64. Have the square root of the quadratic term t squared is t. So t squared. And then the square root of 1 over 9, the square root of the constant is 1 over 3. So since it is using plus sign in the linear term, so we just use plus. So we have the square of t plus 1/3 as the equivalent of the perfect square t square. Of the perfect square trinomial t square plus 2/3 t plus 1 over 9.